If we knew more about our sleep, what would we do differently? Would we go to bed at a consistent time or take steps to reduce interruptions to our sleep? With Sleep Score, Apple Watch measures your bedtime consistency, interruptions, and sleep duration. Then, every morning it combines these factors into an easy-to-understand score from 1 to 100. So you'll know how to take the quality of your sleep from okay to very high. Know your sleep score with Apple Watch. iPhone 11 or later required.
Welcome back to another episode of Susan LoPresti Wellness, Mind, Body, and Soul. This is the go-to space for midlife and mature women who are ready to reclaim their health, boost their energy, and live long, vibrant, and purposeful lives. Each week, we dive into natural wellness, holistic healing, anti-aging strategies, and healthy lifestyle habits to help you feel your best physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Whether you're navigating menopause, working through chronic conditions, or simply wanting to age gracefully and intentionally, this show is your sanctuary for science-backed insights, powerful stories, and soul-nourishing inspiration. So if you are a woman, 40 or 50 or beyond, looking to thrive in the next chapter of your life, you are in the right place. And today's guest that I'm so excited to introduce you to is Elle Shelley Black. Elle is the founder of SAME, a groundbreaking skincare brand and app that connects the dots between hormone health and skin. After a personal battle with stage 4 endometriosis, Elle discovered what many women intuitively know, but the beauty industry often ignores. The skin is a reflection of your hormones. Through SAME, she is pioneering an approach to beauty, one that treats the skin as a diagnostic tool, translating hormonal shifts into actionable skincare protocols. SAME's platform uses AI to analyze cycle patterns, stress, and lifestyle data to create clean, hormone-smart skincare routines that evolve with the user. And without further ado, Elle, welcome to my podcast. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you here today.
Oh, me too. I feel like this is a long time coming, so I've been looking forward to this.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to begin. Tell me your journey with endometriosis. What was it all about? What were your early symptoms? And just let's start with that.
Well, my story with endometriosis really starts actually in the hospital. I woke up from emergency surgery. I had a 5-pound cyst, my right ovary, and my right fallopian tube removed. And as I was waking up from anesthesia, the doctor said, "We found endometriosis, and we believe you have stage 4 endometriosis." So that was actually the first time I had ever even heard that word.
Yeah,
And so that was brand new to me. I had no idea, what was happening or what was going on. And so I was really left doing two things at the same time, which is like learning about, endometriosis while also recovering from major surgery.
right. And what were your symptoms of it?
My symptom, this is what's hard about endometriosis is that 1 in 10 women have it. So it's pretty common. That's 10% of the female population.
Yeah,
And the symptoms vary to all kinds of things from headaches, nausea, brain fog, fatigue. The hallmark of endometriosis is systemic inflammation. And so inflammation in your whole body, and that can lead to all kinds of crazy symptoms that are hard to diagnose with data, right? So I had some pelvic pain, which is very common for endo. I didn't have it as bad as, a lot of other women. The classic endo, you're going to hear a girl, say, "Hey, I've been having debilitating cramps since I was 12, can't get out of bed, I have to go to the hospital, I'm on pain meds." My cramps weren't that bad. I have also heard, and this is just like, rumors or whatever from the endo community, that girls with endometriosis like me, because we've been dealing with it for so long, we tend to have higher pain threshold. And so, these things are happening, but we're very used to it.
Hmm.
So we just kind of live in pain without complaining about it because it's just normal life.
Right.
And so for me, like my symptoms really started probably 2 years prior to that. So that would be 4 years ago now. And I was just bleeding. And so I went to the emergency room. This is right in the middle of COVID. And that was a traumatic experience going to the emergency room during COVID and not having COVID, but something else and trying to get treatment. And the doctors looked at my ovaries. They were worried that I had a twisted ovary, or this is called an ovarian torque. And when it twists in your ovary, it can cut off the blood flow and actually create a medical emergency. And so in the hospital, if you present with symptoms like I was having, that's what they look for. And so they said, okay, we can see you have all these cysts on your left ovary, all these cysts on your right ovary, but none of them are twisted. So we're going to just send you home and you're going to have to kind of figure out what to do. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's twice now in my like introductory story where like the diagnosis for the medical community is here, go figure out what to do.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, every girl's endo story is totally different. As I've been like in this world now for 2.5 years, just talking to people in the community, I've learned, I'm one of the lucky ones because I actually got a diagnosis. But I only got a diagnosis because the surgeon cut me open, saw the tissue, took the tissue, sent the tissue to a lab. The lab confirmed endometriosis. 1 in 10 women, and the best we can hope for is when it comes to a diagnosis is that. We don't have any other diagnostic tools. So we got to change that. We really, really got to change that.
Yeah. So how does that affect you if you want to get pregnant?
Oh, thank you for asking. That's a fantastic question. Okay, so 1 in 10 women have endometriosis. If you zoom in and just look at infertility, endometriosis is the leading cause, which is 58%. That's huge. And I like to say that and remind people of that because, people like to dismiss endometriosis as just pelvic pain or, girls having a hard time during their period. But I'm like, hey, folks, if we want the human race to survive,
Yeah.
we got to figure endometriosis out. So it's a leading cause of infertility. It's often undiagnosed infertility. And again, it's undiagnosed because we have no way to diagnose endometriosis.
How old were you when you went through this?
Well, when I had my surgery, I was 39. And so I was already kind of, I guess geriatric is the term, but I don't have any kids and motherhood is going to look different for me.
Okay. So it would not be the conventional way of getting pregnant. No.
No. And, part of while I was going through this whole journey, discussing my fertility options was a big part of what I spent time with the doctor doing.
Yeah.
Because you have to sign all these waivers when you get a surgery like this. I mean, Susan, I learned so much, so many interesting things, right? Like I learned that in the medical community, within the OBGYN community, they consider it a failure of medicine if they remove any of your reproductive organs.
Wow.
Well, to be that really specific, they consider it a failure of medicine, like they failed as a doctor if they have to remove your reproductive organs while you're still of reproductive age. And so that's problem number one. Problem number two, OBGYNs, which is typically who a girl would go to deal with all of this, they aren't trained about endometriosis. They don't know anything about this. They don't. And if they're gonna use the tools that they have, which is birth control. They're gonna be like, just go on birth control, that will solve the problem. For some women that does, for some it doesn't, and some women are opting not wanting to be on birth control for
Right.
myriad reasons. So we can't just, lob birth control is the answer for everything. And that comes with its whole own set of side effects. The other thing I learned is that, OBGYNs also, they aren't surgeons, right? So
Right.
the surgery that they know how to perform, it's a C-section. That's what they do.
That's it.
That's
Right.
it, right? Like they're not surgeons. They're
Right. They
they're
just know how
C-section
to take the
doctors.
baby from the womb and stitch you
Bingo.
up.
Yes, that's what they know how to do. So
Right.
there's this massive gap in the medical system
Oh,
about care, treatment options for endometriosis. So if you then went, and I did go to an endocrinologist, now an endocrinologist, they're going to be primarily concerned with cancer because that's who you go see when you have like a thyroid or anything with your endocrine system that potentially could be cancer or another like disease like that. So endometriosis also doesn't have a home in the medical community. Who takes care of us?
And what are the percentages of women
It's
who?
huge. 10, it's what it depends on who you ask. I'm conservative and I say 1 in 10. The latest data from EndoFound, which is the leading organization, EndoFound stands for Endometriosis Foundation of America. They have 1 in 9. But we're estimating here because we have no therapeutic.
Right.
I'm sorry, no diagnostics. So we have no way to actually diagnose who really has endometriosis or not.
Well, this is a scary topic.
I know. I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean.
Welcome to America with the medical system that we're dealing with. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. And the thing about endometriosis is we think that so let me go back to my whole story. So there I am, recovering from this surgery and getting an answer, right? And I want to really like emphasize that I do consider myself lucky because I got great care and I got an answer. And the answer was it's endometriosis. And all of a sudden, I'm looking back at the last 15 years of my life and things just start making sense. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? All of these like undiagnosed things and all of this like, oh, I'm just generally unwell. All of a sudden it made sense, and I could actually like have a single thread that put an explanation around how I felt for a long time and just got dismissed over and over and over again. So that was amazing. That felt good. And I spent 6 weeks in bed recovering because that is the recovery. You have to be bed rest for 6 weeks, which is tough. Susan, that's tough.
Yeah.
But I read everything that I could about endometriosis. And I learned that in addition to no therapeutics, there's no diagnostics, right? So there's nothing to say, hey, you have endometriosis, unless again, a surgeon cuts you open, there's in the tissue. And then once you get a diagnosis like I have, there's no therapeutic. So there's nothing that you can do to like stop having endometriosis. It's kind of a chronic condition. In fact, they call it a chronic hormonal condition. There are lots of things you can do for the myriad symptoms that swim around endometriosis. And so, if you think you have endo, which is what we call endometriosis, or if you're suffering from it, you can really look at your symptoms and think, okay, how can I get these symptoms better? And there are things for that, right? But as it's just like a whack-a-mole of problems.
Yeah.
So what we need, what endometriosis really needs is more research. We need more research on the female body, macro. We need more research on the female system. We need more research on how our bodies work. And because endometriosis, what it is it's the lining inside the uterus. That's the endometrial lining. It's like a very special lining that catches the egg and makes sure that we can like have life, right?
Right.
It's that tissue everywhere in your body. So that tissue reacts to estrogen, which is why it's considered a chronic hormonal condition. So you get these like funny symptoms that are tied to where you are in your cycle. As your estrogen rises and falls, you might feel like typical period cramps, but if you have it in your shoulder, and like it just doesn't make sense. Or in your eyes, or in your legs, in your knees, anywhere where the tissue is, which again, it could be anywhere in the body.
As you're talking about this, I'm thinking about women in menopause. And a lot of people didn't understand back then the symptoms that women were going through, and they would be put on antidepressants or
Yeah,
something like that. So women in general, I think, and it hasn't really changed much because I'm listening to what you're talking about, we're ignored in
yeah,
a lot of
that's right.
yeah.
That's right. That's right. And yeah, we're ignored because we don't study it. The medical community has a gaping hole about this. And, if you look at sort of like how this happens, you can look at medical research. Well, medical research, how we do medical research in the US, which I do think is a great system, by the way, but it's done by what's interesting to you, right? And
Mhm.
so if typically, we've had typically male researchers,
Yeah.
there no one's like, I wonder about this. So I think that's part of why we've had, less research about the female body and the conditions around the female body. I do think that's changing, but, we're 20 years behind.
Yeah,
But
I was
thank
going
goodness with AI, like AI will get us right back where, where we can go. But even AI, we need AI in research. We need like foundational data to
yes,
actually figure this stuff out. Otherwise, AI has nothing to look at.
right. What a shame.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's go to the positive spin on this situation because out of something bad always comes something good. That's
Yes. Amen,
I
sister. That's what I always say. The worst thing that ever happened to you will become the best. And if it hasn't yet, just wait.
yes. So, because of your experience,
Yeah.
you developed a skincare line.
Yes. And so what ended up happening while I was going through this bed rest period and I was researching everything that I could, I came up on two studies that really stuck with me that were super interesting. And they ended up being foundational for what I did next. The first was I discovered there's a class of chemicals called endocrine disrupting chemicals, EDCs, and they're in everything. EDCs have a direct correlation to the growth of endometriosis. And so as you're exposed to these toxic chemicals, your endometriosis grows and like it can like accelerate the onset of endometriosis. So I do want to be careful how I say this because I think it's important because this matters. The research now, the best research that we have, we think that endometriosis is genetic. So you're born with it. In my case, that tracks with my family history. I have, through my mom, I have a whole slew of aunts that had trouble getting pregnant and actually never had kids that we think may have been endometriosis. So that story in my life, that sounds true. And there's research to support that. I just don't want people listening to this and worry that they're going to somehow catch endometriosis. That's not how it works. You have it. It's in your body. It's like in your DNA. And it's the wrong tissue in the wrong place. But then what ends up happening is you get exposed to these toxic chemicals and this tissue grows. And it's the growth of the tissue that creates all of these really uncomfortable symptoms. And as the tissue grows, you can have cysts, you can have, again, systemic inflammation, like really classic things that come with anything that's kind of like this, right? You can get hormonal acne, you can get dry skin, you can get all kinds of things just directly from this chronic hormone condition. So there's a class of chemicals called endocrine disrupting chemicals, and they were in Susan, they're in everything.
Yes.
They're in everything. And so I kind of went on like a quest and I realized, okay, I can't create a world free of endocrine disrupting chemicals, but I can reduce my exposure. And so I just did everything that I could. I threw everything in my house out with the word fragrance in it. That's like a really easy one to start with if you want to go down this journey. Just
Yeah.
no fragrance. Fragrance typically is an endocrine disruptor. And and then plastics and parabens and sulfurs and sulfates and like all of these things. And then I eventually got to skincare and I found that that's like a pretty toxic thing. And so the dissonance for me was very clear. Here we are as women investing so much in our beauty, and could it be making us sick? And so I decided to create a platform, which is what Same Skincare is, that does clean skincare. It's free from EDCs, that's it. And I partnered with EndoFound, and we donate 10% of our proceeds directly to EndoFound to fund research.
Nice.
So it's a platform to raise awareness, talk about what can be done, and then of course fund research. And again, I discovered that path through this research in this one study that said, yes, there's a direct connection between exposure to endocrine disrupting chemicals and the growth of endometriosis and endometrioles, which are like the cysts. So I was like, great, I can do that. And then the second study that I found that was super interesting was from 1982, which is actually the year I was born, that proved and showed that women with endometriosis have a delay in their 24 to 28 day cycle. The way that we look at this typically it's through your basal body temperature, BBT. And girls with endometriosis typically had a 3 to 5 day delay in the rise of their BBT in their cycle. And this is from 1982. I just want to keep saying that. This is from 1982. And so this research said if we can get women to do charting their basal body temperature every day, now a doctor will have some data and we can potentially use that to potentially diagnose endometriosis. And so I got really excited about the idea of developing something that was super simple that would create the bridge between patients and data as a diagnosis for endometriosis. And so we're developing an app right now that syncs to your health kit or your Aura Ring that basically takes all of your readily available biometric data like basal body temperature, heart rate variability, stress markers, and points it at your skin. So you can know how these other biomarkers are actually showing up in your face.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is incredible work that
Oh,
you are
thank you.
doing.
Thank you.
I mean, this will change generations to come.
That's the goal, right? Like,
Yes.
you asked me kind of like at the beginning of this, you asked me a question and I went quickly over it, which was, well, what about fertility? Well, for me, because I can't have kids, I'm thinking about motherhood and legacy in all these other ways. And that's what this work means to me. This is how I can leave my mark and be a mother of so many,
Yeah.
and like, that's amazing. That's what I want to do. That's how I can take this one thing that was horrible and turn it into something much better.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
So, your skincare line, what does it consist of?
They're actually it's funny. Thank you for asking. We're actually right in the middle of like doing the next generation of them. We have two creams, a face oil, a cleanser, and a couple masks. And we're getting ready to do a whole new collection. So we're going to keep a couple of the heritage products, is what we call them. And my favorite is actually our face oil. We have a cold press, 100% organic marula oil, which is fantastic for anyone struggling with a chronic hormone condition. The four chronic hormone conditions, and I'm going to put one in here that's like a little controversial. It's endometriosis, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is kind of the other side of endometriosis, perimenopause, and menopause. These are the four. What ends up happening for women is like our skin changes, and it's changing because our hormones are changing. And
Yes.
so we need a totally different way to, deal. We need like a totally different line of skincare. Well, marula oil is great for all four of those because for women with any of these chronic hormone conditions, a hallmark is that you get these like dry patches of skin, or you get very dry skin, which is from the loss of collagen or the decrease in your estrogen. So if when you're younger, right before where you ovulate, right before you get your period, you'll get acne. As you get older, the inverse happens. Now you're going to get dry patches and your skin's going to wake up feeling even drier because your estrogen is lowering. And so marula oil is perfect for this because the molecule is very, very small. So it can actually get down beneath the surface layers of your skin and nourish your skin 3 and 4 layers deep. On top of that, it has 9 vitamins and 7 minerals. So it actually feeds your skin. And so you're actually like refeeding your skin's microbiome. And so you end up getting this really beautiful glow. And it's perfect for this particular like demographic.
I see the glow on your face.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love it. I'm like such a fan. I'm twice a day.
Now, you said it was controversial in some way. What was that about?
Face oils just aren't, when it comes to skincare, face oils are kind of like looked down on. They're kind of considered like old-fashioned fuddy-duddy because they don't have, the whiz-bang ingredients, but they work. And they're like, especially if you can get very high quality ones, which is the one we have, it's like very high quality, cold pressed, certified organic from a producer in the US. I actually know them, so I can like tell you it comes in a beautiful, heavy black bottle. There's absolutely zero plastic on it. We use recycled beechwood on the dropper, a paper label. Like I care about these little details because
Yes.
I care about them. The average person doesn't really care about them, right? And so anyway, that's that about that.
I find this so incredibly interesting because even fragrance, and there's fragrance in everything, everything,
Yeah,
laundry detergent, dish detergent, all
yeah,
our personal care products, you
yeah.
name it, air fresheners, all of that. I hate all of it. The
Cleaning
interesting
products,
thing,
candles. We wear fragrance. Like
yes.
it's I it's so toxic. It's so
And the
toxic.
crazy thing about this is that in Europe, even the chemicals that we put in our food supply, the foods that we're feeding our children,
Yeah,
it's not allowed in Europe.
that's right. That's right.
And I don't understand why we're supposed to be one of the greatest countries in the world, why we want to kill our population.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
that's
look,
basically what they're doing. They're causing cancer causing, and you know, most people don't survive cancer. I don't know what the statistics are, but it's just incredible.
Yeah. You know, there's a saying that I always think about when this topic comes up, which is don't confuse malice or incompetence.
Wow.
So I think it's incompetence, right? And like
Yes.
I think what we have, and this is just, you know, this is the hard thing about doing anything, right? Research takes time. And like we get excited about things and we're like, oh my gosh, we found this breakthrough chemical, and now this chemical can do these 5 things. Let's put in everything. It's like, great. Okay, well, what happens? This chemical is fine, but when you pair it with this ingredient and you put it in this bottle and it stays in the sun, all of a sudden it oxidizes into this other thing. Well, nobody thought of that, you
Yeah.
know? And so I think it's just kind of the byproduct of innovation. And so what are our choices here? Okay, well, we either slow down in innovation or we have more educated consumers. I see, especially in the US, like innovation is what is our that's who we are. That's what we have. This has to be at the consumer level. No, I do think that's a big burden to put on consumers, but I think consumers are ready. And I think we're seeing that more and more, right? Like even this conversation, we're two people that in 30 years ago never would have met. And now
Right.
we met and we're having this information. And what are we doing? We're sharing information.
Yeah.
And the people that need to hear this are going to hear it. And now they're going to be able to be more informed and make better decisions for themselves. I think that's actually like the right way to do all of this.
Yeah.
That's the model
Knowledge
that will
is
work.
power.
Yeah, and
Knowledge
and
is
I
the
think, and on that note, like if we take it one step deeper and we actually like outsource our knowledging to the government, we're going to be even more in trouble. Power to the people. That's what I say.
Yes. So, Elle, where can people find your products?
Yeah, go to sameskincare.com and you can get the products, or you can download the app.
From that same website.
Yep.
Okay. And tell me again what the app does, what it's all about.
It uses your skin as a biomarker. So what it does is it tells you how to build like a daily protocol based off of where you are in your cycle and what your biomarkers are doing. So that way you have the same glowing skin every month. And it gives you like exactly what you need to do based off of your unique needs.
So, a woman in menopause who no longer has a cycle, do you cater to that?
Yeah, I mean, you still have biomarkers, right? Like you still have basal body temperature, you still have stress, you still have HRV, you still have
Oh,
all of these other things that your wearables, which are pretty mainstream today, are tracking that we can
right.
still use to tell you what's happening a little bit deeper with your skin.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any final thoughts you'd like to leave the audience with?
Just thank you. Thank you for your interest and thank you for learning. Share this with someone if this is resonating with you. Please spread the word. The more we can help each other, especially as women, the better.
Yes, very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Elle, thank you so much for being here today.
You're
This
welcome. Thanks for
was
having
like
me.
an eye-opening conversation, and I hope that the women that are on here listening, you know, you're not alone, because I think
That's
a
right.
lot of times women feel that they're all alone in this journey. And I've talked to other people on the podcast that have also talked about endometriosis and what it's done and how they're no longer able to have children. And so I think this is a conversation that needs to be had, and we
Yes.
need to be more knowledgeable about it and careful about what we're putting in our bodies and on our bodies and
Yes.
products that we're using. So I love what you're doing. And I,
Oh, thank you. I
yes,
really appreciate it.
yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to this episode today. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And if this resonated with you, or if you could think of anyone who this episode would benefit, kindly share it out with your friends and your family and get the message out about endometriosis, what can be done about it. And it's just such an important topic that we all need to know about. And sometimes women suffer in silence for many, many years. And this is just bringing light to a condition that has been around for a very long time. So again, thank you for listening. I hope that this resonated with you. And if you know anyone who's suffering with endometriosis, please share it out with them. Also, it would be so helpful if you could leave me a comment. I so appreciate that. And also, be sure to follow me here. Thank you again, and have a great day.